All right, everybody, welcome to the first episode of the Best Dog Podcast. The Best Dog Podcast was a podcast that Amy and I decided to start because I am a podcaster. I do a country music podcast called Doc Daniel's Country Show. And I wanted to do or listen to one for dogs because I'm also a truck driver and I'm always listening to podcasts. I couldn't find a good dog podcast that wasn't like a veterinarian talking about veterinary things or a trainer talking about trainer things. I wanted one that was like, hey, this is what we do for a dog, or just dog people talking about dogs. And I couldn't find one. So, what better way to come up with one than to start one myself? So, my wife Amy and I are going to bring you things that dog lovers might love every single week. As you can see, we have our dog of the week here this week. She's tired with the things to start. But so we're going to do different things every week. We've got dog of the week that we're going to do. We've got dog news. This week we've got a recipe. We've got product reviews. All of those kind of things. We're going to have veterinarians come on and talk. We're going to have experts come on and give you information you would need to know. But it's just a thing for dog lovers. So if you've got something, an idea, or something that you would like us to research or talk about, you can find us in various ways. You're probably watching us on the YouTube channel right now if you're watching this video. You can also go to our Facebook group. The Best Dog Podcast has a group page. You can watch us or talk to us there. We also are on Twitter. I believe it's Best Dog Podcast 1 on Twitter. And we also have an email address, which is the best dog podcast at gmail.com. Now, I went too quickly and you missed all that, anything that we talk about today, recipes, links to stories, social media contact, is all going to be listed in the description below on the YouTube video. So YouTube is probably the best way to look for us, but I know right now the algorithms are a little slow because we're new. So if you can't find us, you can always reach us at the best dog podcast at gmail.com. So this week, our first segment, we're going to start with our dog of the week, which Amy is going to tell you a little bit about Big Mama or Ivy Rose, which is the name of our studios, Big Mama Studios. Big Mama, come here. Get on the camera. She's tired. She's tired of waiting.
So Ivy is a Valley Bulldog. She is 7 years old. I think she's 7. I'm pretty sure. She a Valley Bulldog is a mix between an English Bulldog and a Boxer. And Rich used to be a Schwann truck driver, and he called me at home one day and said, "Babe, do we have?" I think it was $400. 200.
She was the runt of the litter.
And I said, of course,
After I
why?
sent you the picture.
And then he sent me the picture, and I said, yeah, we have $200. So he got her home, and he actually had changed jobs and became an over-the-road trucker. And his plan was then to take her with him on the road.
The road dog.
And she quickly became my baby girl because I was the one taking her out in the middle of the night, and she slept beside me every night when she was a baby. So I became quickly attached to her, and I told him he could not take her. So then, about a year later, we came across someone else who had Valley Bulldogs.
And I wanted a road dog. Still didn't have one.
So we opted to get a boy, and we actually drove from Indiana to Ohio to go and get him. And about another year later,
I don't even know if it was that long. Yeah, he was almost a year old. Yeah.
About a year later, they got together and became husband and wife.
Well,
did husband and wife
I
things.
remember she was supposed to get fixed like the next week.
Yes.
We had the appointment. We
She
did
was
not
supposed
plan on having puppies.
So after they consummated their marriage,
Well, they haven't got married yet. We talked about having a ceremony, but we haven't done it yet. We're those kind of dog people. We're thinking about having a dog.
so So
You want to
I
give me
took her in. I didn't know how to know if the dog was pregnant or anything, or even how long it took before they delivered. I had no idea. So I took her into the vet, and he told me, yeah, she was pregnant. And we went back again for an ultrasound, where he said, "Are you going to get on the
I
table?"
thought she was thinking about it.
Where he said,
Yeah.
we looked at the ultrasound and saw the little, it looked like little golf balls, and he said, "You've got 6 babies in there, from what I can see." And she, at the end of her pregnancy, was very restless, and
She was huge.
I stayed up with her all the time. She wouldn't go to sleep, and she was just very uncomfortable. So I became concerned and had to see what to watch for, and plan for a birth at home. And
Calling the
we
vet 7 times a day. And
we built a birthing box, and for 2 nights I slept in the birthing box with her. And one day we found a green liquid on the floor, and I called the vet, and he said, "You need to get her in right now." So we didn't even think to bring something to carry puppies home in. We didn't bring towels. We didn't bring anything. We just flew to the vet's office. And Rich was at work over the road, and the vet came out, and I'm going to start crying.
I know you are. I knew you would.
The vet came out and said that basically all her female organs had ruptured, and they needed to get the babies out right away. And at that time, of course, I didn't know if she was going to make it or not. So, your emotions are when you're worried about your baby that you're so close to.
Yep. We're those kind of dog people.
And somebody calling Rich while he's on the road and telling him everything that was going on. And then, of course, he was worrying over the road. And then the vet came out and said, "Everything went good. She's okay. And you have 11 babies breathing."
I can remember that phone call. 11
I
babies.
couldn't believe 11 babies. What happened to 6? But we did have an incident. We had an incident where after I put them out and they got together,
Mm-hmm.
a couple days later, the next day I think it
It was
was,
the next day.
when Rich was home, he put them out and they got together again. We joke around about it happening
Double dose.
twice, and that's why we got 11 babies. So we had one baby that they showed me immediately after they were born,
Yep.
that it frightened me so bad. I'd never seen anything like it. But he had a cleft lip. His nose and his mouth were completely open. There was a gap. And they told me to take him home and see if we could get him to latch on.
They asked us if we wanted to just put him down because the odds of him making it were very slim. I do remember that.
And so we took him home, and uh, we couldn't get him to latch on. We tried. We took all the other babies to the
Yep.
side so he could be by himself, and he wasn't getting any food, and when he did, it would come back out of his nose.
I can't remember how many veterinarians or uh, Walmart, pet shops trying to find the right nipples, the right bottles. But I think we named him Cliff. I think we had him 3, 4, 5 days,
He lasted 3 days.
3 days. And then he just, as I was trying to feed him, he expired. So we ended up with
And we allowed our son Alex to pick out the one that he wanted to keep. We were only going to keep one puppy.
Yeah.
And of course, he picked the biggest one of the bunch.
He wasn't the biggest at the time, but he ended up being a lot more, not bulldog, what's the other?
Boxer.
A lot more boxer, not so much English bulldog.
So he is like at least double the size of all the puppies that we had. And then as we were, um, I don't want to say getting rid of, but as the other puppies were
Finding
leaving
forever
their
homes.
one of the little girls that was Rich's favorite, actually.
Well, because she had a little bit of a lip issue. We
Yeah.
weren't sure if that was another cleft palate. And her head was a little misshapen, and she was not getting in. Nobody was letting her feed. She was losing weight. She was kind of the runt of the litter, just like her mother.
Yes. So
So
we bottle fed her as
she used to
well,
sleep right
just
here.
to
I'd
make
feed her.
sure that she got enough nutrients and
Yep.
everything. We fed her, bottle fed her, and she had mama's food.
Hmm.
And as the other puppies were all leaving to their homes, she developed a cherry eye on Halloween,
Yep.
and we decided that we would keep her too.
And we also thought with the misshapen head, I was concerned that maybe there was going to be some mental deformities, that she was going to be a little more special than the others, and I didn't really want to pawn that off onto somebody else.
Yeah.
So, so
So
we kept her, and she had a little white two on the back of her neck. So I named her Tutu. All of our dogs have cubs names. Ivy is the Wall, Dexter, which was an old practice field the Cubs played on. Tutors or Tinkers is one of the double play combinations, Tinkers, Evers, and Chance. And then we have Ernie, of course, who is Ernie Banks.
Ernie is the big boy that my son kept.
Yep.
So that is our story of
Dog of the
Ivy.
week.
Yes. Let's say hi, Mom. Let's say hi,
She don't want to say hi
Mom.
more. She's tired. She's been waiting for us to get this thing started. So if you would like your dog to be dog of the week, what we would like you to do is send us some videos, send us some photos, and send us a story on why your dog is dog of the week. And again, you can send all of that to the best dog podcast at gmail.com. And if we choose your story, we'll put it in the show. And maybe by then we'll have some sponsors and maybe a gift that we can send you. So, our second segment of the week is going to be news howled around the world. This is where we find entertaining or stories that dog lovers might enjoy or want to know. And I should have silenced my phone. We present them to you. So, the first story that we have is not a particularly great story, but it does have a great ending. There was a dog in Florida. The gentleman's name who was in trouble was James Suthan or Suthan, Suthan. He was a dog groomer in Brevard County, Florida, back in 2019. Now, he was grooming a service dog who belonged to a veteran named Mr. McGuire. Mr. McGuire was a veteran of PTSD, which is why he had this service dog, took it in for some grooming, and the dog came out with a broken tail. The tail was so severely broken that it had to be amputated. Now, the gentleman was given two choices. So that he wasn't given a felony, he could choose 180 days in jail, 3 years probation, and a lifetime ban of ever working with animals ever again. Or he could choose 60 days in jail, but he would be tagged with a felony for the rest of his life. The judge gave him those two choices. The gentleman chose the first choice. He received 180 days in jail. He has 3 years of probation, and he also had to pay $5,000 in restitution. Now, the owner, Mr. McGuire, believes that justice has been served, and the service dog, whose name is TT, has recovered, as in, and is back in their family and is in fairly good condition. The only reason I say fairly is because the dog does have a little bit of arthritis.
No, it is a little nerve wracking when you take your dog to have something done, whether it's grooming or whatever they're going to do. I remember we also have a pug. We have a total of five dogs, and a while back, it's been several years, but I took our pug to a local groomer who did it out of her house. And when I dropped him off, she had me drop him off and come back, and all I wanted done was a bath and his nails trimmed. And when we went back to pick him up, she said she wasn't home. And I called her, and she said that she had an emergency, had to go and pick up her son from school. And when I did pick him up, he acted fine, was really excited to see me, got in the car, and he put his feet up on the dash, and there was blood from his fingernails on the dash.
Oh,
And I never went back again. Yeah, of course.
yeah.
It just most of the time, if they cut too short, they would tell you that, I would think. But they usually, do the like a septic pencil or something to stop the bleeding. And I don't know if she didn't see it. He was in a crate, so you would think she would have seen that. But yeah, it's hard to leave your loved one with somebody. So
You have a story?
yeah, I do. This story is about pandemic dogs. A lot of people rushed out to get dogs, adopt dogs during the pandemic, and animal and welfare advocates were all really excited to see the increase in dog adoptions during the pandemic. But they were also worried that people would then return the dogs because they didn't, not being able to care for them as they thought they would once things are back to normal. So shelters, along with animal welfare experts, have pointed out a confirmed upward increase in dog ownership in the US. And some news reports have said that as COVID restrictions were lifted and things returned to normal, that an alarming number of dogs have been returned to the shelters compared to last year. They've taken in more dogs. But the spokesman for the spokesman for American Veterinary Medical Association says that there is no proof of that, although they are still watching for it. But keep in mind that from last year, the shelters and rescues closed down for a short time and didn't take in dogs due to trying to reduce the spread of COVID. So the numbers are going to be more compared to last year
Okay.
just because of that fact. But the American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals said that one reason for the fact that people are not taking their dogs back has been that the shelters and rescues continue to reach out to adopters and ensure that the pet matches the adopter's lifestyle, even after we return to post pandemic schedules, which I didn't know that they even do that. I've never
I
adopted a dog,
I don't
since I
know if
lived
they do
in Florida.
normally. I had heard the story on the radio or something that there were people returning all these dogs from COVID, and I thought, man, that's horrible. But it's
Yeah.
good to know that that's actually
Yes.
not true. Maybe it was an isolated incident in one shelter or one town, but it doesn't seem to be an actual pandemic from the
Right.
pandemic.
Apparently, in Florida and Pennsylvania and a few other states, they said there was an increase in numbers, but they went back and looked, and the spokesman, American Veterinary Medical Association, said there isn't any proof of that. So there is more concern for dogs being returned to the shelters than cats because cats can be left alone while we're at work.
Yeah, as people go back to work, if they go back to work.
Right. But for the puppies that were adopted during the pandemic, those dogs are now reaching the stage where they're chewing on things and they're
Mm,
getting into their adolescent stage where behavioral issues become a problem. So the American Kennel Club recommends preparing your dogs for your return to your regular schedule by encouraging them to spend time alone, either in a crate or outside in the fenced-in yard or in another room for gradual amounts of time until you're ready to go back to work. Another suggestion that I thought was great was to make sure that you stay calm when you leave the house because your dogs can pick up on how you feel and they
mm.
react to how you feel. Yes, I mean, absolutely does.
Mama, if she is if I'm sad or if she's crying, mama will normally come up to you and try to comfort you because she is extremely in tune with emotions in the house. If I'm watching a ball game or if I'm excited about a card game or something and I raise my voice and I sound like I'm yelling, she either runs to the other side of the couch or runs to me to figure out, can I help?
She absolutely does. So I thought that was a great point was to stay calm and don't be anxious because your dog feels that anxiety. And if you're calm, then they are ready for you to go when it's time for you to go. If someone or if you yourself has adopted a dog or wants to adopt a dog during the pandemic, there's a book by veterinarian Dr. Marty Greer. It's titled Your Pandemic Puppy: Finding and Raising a Well-Adjusted Dog During COVID-19.
Hmm, I would have never thought there would be a book for that.
Right, me either. So, as for now, we can all take a little comfort in knowing
Yep.
that most of those dogs and puppies, in most cases, have found their way into someone's heart because, like those dogs those dogs, just like ours, have helped us through this difficult time by improving our mental and physical well being and even made working from home easier for those people who are doing that while
Yeah.
we're secluded from the rest of the world.
Okay. Well, I've got one more story before we move on to our product review, and I'm gonna have Alex, our director and producer, bring me the product because I forgot to bring it out to the stage. So while he's gonna do that while I'm reading the story. So we now have a from pandemic shelter dog to a shelter dog who is the king of beer. There in 2020, Ethan was a dog that was found abandoned in the parking lot of the Kentucky Humane Society. He was emaciated, he was in poor health, and the Humane Society had heard that Bush Beer was looking to launch a new dog brew. It's a non-alcoholic it's a non-alcoholic beer made with pork butt, vegetables, basil, mint, ginger, and some other ingredients. So it's actually made for the dog.
Yeah.
I don't think I would drink it, but
Mm.
maybe on a dare or a bet. There'd be some money involved. But so they sent in a resume, and the spokesperson from Bush Beer said that he had a horrific resume, and Ethan now is the spokesperson for Bush's dog brew beer. He gets a salary of $20,000 a year. He
Wow.
gets health insurance or pet insurance and is also receiving stock options from the Bush Beer Company.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
That is really cool. When I read that story, I was like, that is awesome. So, I do want to talk about a product that Amy found the other day. We were at Bailey's Discount Center getting some stuff for the kitchen, a new fridge and a stove, and we came across this shampoo. It's True Earth Mineral Spa, but the reason that this was discounted is not because it's being discontinued, it's because they're changing their bottling line, and all of the new bottles look completely different than the one I have here. Now, you can find these products all across the country, coast to coast, and around the world in stores, or you can order them online. And I've got some information for you. You can save some money on that in just a moment. But I wanted to find out because it was at a discount store. I wanted to make sure that I didn't come out. I think you asked me about it, like, wonder why it was discounted or whatever. And it made me wonder, yeah, that's a good question. So I called the company and I spoke to a gentleman. His name was Cameron. I called the bottle on the number on the back and it went to a different phone number. But he was telling me about the shampoo, what they've done with it, why this bottle is why it was discounted and whatnot. The product is still the same, but the science behind this shampoo, and we did use it on two of our dogs. We used it on Ernie, the big one, and I used it on Tooters, the small one. The reason I did it the other day on Ernie is because our dog Ernie is basically allergic to everything, including his own chat. I mean, we had to stop giving them snacks and treats, and she took him to the vet, and he would develop hives and itch and scratch, and it was insane. There's even shampoos that he's been allergic to. One shampoo you used on our pug, you said it burned
Burn.
under where his collar was located. So I was like, you know what? Let's test it on him because him being the most allergic. But the thing about this shampoo is it's all natural. It's made with, if I can remember, here we go. Coconut natural surfactant. It's got volcanic minerals, vitamin E, vitamin B, olive oil, and I can't remember some of the other things that the gentleman told me about it. But it is got also, he was trying to explain the science. I'm a truck driver, I'm not a scientist. But there was something on it. It's called I forgot. I got it here. Bentonite clay, and somehow they use this bentonite clay with the process they use to make the shampoo, and it makes the particles much smaller, so they don't sit on the dog's skin and collect bacteria. I hope I'm explaining this right. Um, but what they do is the small particles don't sit on the skin, so your dog doesn't smell funny after just 2 or 3 days after they've had a bath. and you think they need another bath. Being that it's all natural, Ernie has had no signs of any itching, any scratching. As a matter of fact, he might even have been scratching less than he normally does. I haven't seen him
I haven't
scratching as
noticed
much.
it. I usually have to
And
take
then
this stuff.
after 2 or 3 days, Ernie sleeps with a teenager or a young man at this point, and they smell a little funky even after one time of being locked up in that bedroom. He was just down here a little bit ago. No more smell, no more funkiness from the bedroom. I used it on tutors. I noticed today her fur feels a little bit softer than it normally does. So after we tested it, Amy and I were like, yes, we need to tell people about this product. You can go to their website, and if you remember, I did not write it down. Because they have a new website. It's not the one on the bottle. Let me ask my director real quick. You have the information over there. That's right. It's RELIQ pet. It was relic as in RELIC, but they changed the IQ because of the smart technology that they use on the shampoos. And go to reliq.pet.com. Now, he may have put it up on the screen. Our monitor's not working today, so he's probably got us covered. But anyway, if you go to that website, you're going to be able to get 10% off. They've got a 10% coupon on there, and you can go to your location. Like I said, you can be anywhere in the world, and you can get this product in stores, or you can have it shipped to you. So go to their Facebook page, Relic Pet, and get 10% off the shampoo that has lots of different scents. The ones we used were tangerine and sandalwood. I kind of like the sandalwood. It almost smelled like a male, like a cologne that I would wear. Yeah, it smelled really good. The tangerine was not overpowering. I expected it to have a very overpowering citrusy smell. Not at all. It's very light, and I thought it smelled really, really good. So if you guys would like more information on the shampoo, remember reliqpet.com or check the links below. We will put links to this product in the description below. And we have, I think we have a couple bottles of this. We grabbed a couple to give away. So what we're going to do is anybody that comments, sends us an email, or communicates with us in any way is going to be entered to receive a free bottle of the shampoo. I think what we'll do is we'll give it. This is our first podcast, and not a lot of people know about us. So I'm going to give it till the end of June. So June 30th, right?
Yep.
30 days in June. So June 30th, we will be drawing at least one winner for a bottle of the True Earth Pet Relic shampoo. And I will send Cameron a message today letting him know that we did talk about it. And if he has any more information, or maybe he would like to come on the show next week, he could do that. He could explain that science stuff a heck of a lot better than me. Cool.
And our dogs, I don't know about everybody else's. I know our dogs, I think because of the floppy ears that they have, they get ear infections really bad. Yeah. And we had 1 month that we spent over $300
I don't even
on
know.
vet visits for ear infections between two dogs. Actually, Mama here is the only one who doesn't get one.
Yeah, she does.
But when we were researching the product, we did see that they have an ear wash.
They do have an ear wash on their website. They have other products than just shampoo. You're right. That's a good
So
point.
that is something else that we're going to try and probably let you guys know how that works out.
Yep, absolutely.
Huey the pug
Always.
has an infection.
Always. Well, but we were told that might have been because of his food. Maybe it's because we didn't use an ear wash. We're still trying to figure out. They don't seem to be as bad as they used to be, but we definitely are trying to figure out how we can keep our dogs healthier. And as we find things, we'll let you guys know about it. So the last thing I have for you guys today is a recipe for a cake or a birthday cake. I saw this and thought it was the coolest thing. I wanted Amy to make one right away, and then I realized that it doesn't taste as good as humans. Now, humans can eat it. It did say that humans can eat it, but because there's no added sugars, that unless you're on keto, you probably wouldn't like it. So, but we've got a couple pictures that are going to come up on the screen so you guys can see it. The way it is, the ingredients that it's made out of, and don't forget, I'm going to read the ingredients, but if I go too quick, don't worry. We're going to have a link and information down below to where you can get this recipe. But the main ingredients for the cake are peanut butter, applesauce, and pumpkin. And I know that our dogs absolutely love pumpkin and they absolutely love peanut butter. I don't know about applesauce. Have we ever tried giving them
They like
applesauce?
apples.
They do
So,
like apples. Well, they probably would like apples. We'll have to try that. But that's the main ingredients for the cake. The frosting is peanut butter and Greek yogurt. For the cake, you're going to use 1 cup of flour, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, an eighth cup of vegetable oil, a fourth cup of peanut butter, half a cup of applesauce, half a cup of pumpkin puree, and an egg. The frosting is just yogurt and peanut butter. Now, this recipe makes one 8-inch round. So if you want to make two 8-inch rounds, like in the photo, you'll need to double the recipe, make the two 8-inch rounds. And it's pretty much just like a regular cake. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. In a large bowl, you combine the flour and baking soda. Then in a separate bowl, you mix together the vegetable oil, peanut butter, applesauce, all the liquids. Once that's all combined, you put the one egg in there and mix that until it comes to, I would suggest, like a pumpkin pie consistency, probably a little bit thicker. Then you combine the wet and dry ingredients together and stir them until they're well combined. Pour that mixture into your two pans, bake for 25 to 30 minutes until the toothpick comes out clean, and then let them cool before you remove them from the pan. So it is literally just like making a birthday cake for a human. Then for the frosting, you mix Greek yogurt and peanut butter until well combined. Then you spread that over the cake. Now, if you're not going to serve this cake immediately, you're going to want to put it in the refrigerator because the frosting is going to have, because of the yogurt and the peanut butter, it's going to be a little on the runny side. So you want to put it in the fridge so that it kind of hardens and doesn't make a giant mess. And then, like in the photos, you can add dog treats or decorate it. Maybe put a candle on it for their birthday. And I know we're going to be trying this. I knew. I looked at it. As soon as I looked at it, I'm like, I know we're doing it. I just wasn't sure you knew we were doing it.
Our next birthday celebration isn't until September, but we may have to try it early.
I will try that, even though it doesn't have any sugar in it. Maybe the applesauce, it can't be that bad. I mean, it's literally those are all things I would normally eat. So I mean, yeah. But it looked great and it sounded great, and I thought you guys have got to know about this recipe. And again, I will put the links down below. But the recipe came from. I knew I shouldn't have done that. Lovefromtheoven.com, and the name of the cake is called Spoiled Dog Cake. So
We definitely spoil our babies.
yes, so that is episode 1. What did you guys think? If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, go ahead and give us a thumbs down. Let us know. We would love any kind of feedback, positive or negative. What can we work on? What did you like? Again, all of our social medias, you can catch us on there. The link will be below. The email, thebestdogpodcast@gmail.com. Do you have anything that you'd like to add before we take off?
I don't think so.
All right. My name is Rick,
I'm Amy.
and this is the Best Dog Podcast.